Hey, you ready to learn a little bit about business intelligence and analytics? Come on. I'm Dan Schreck from Viam. In this video series, we're going to give you a high-level overview of business intelligence and analytics. We'll talk about some basic concepts and ideas, and we'll also get into the modern stuff, of course, the cloud data warehouses, data lakes, data pipelines, latest visualization tools, etc. You ready? Let's go. So my friends, this series is divided into 3 videos. In this introductory video, we'll discuss why good business intelligence practices matter and what's driving market changes. In the next video, we'll get into how cloud data warehouses and lakes and other tools are really making transformative changes to business intelligence. Then in our third video on modern visualization tools, we'll compare Excel versus embedded BI tools versus modern state-of-the-art tools. Before getting started at Viam, we specialize in HR and people business intelligence and analytics, all the data management and integration that goes along with that, as well as working and consulting on related HR and human capital management applications. So we may occasionally discuss BI in the context of HR, but you'll find these videos applicable to all areas of business intelligence, sales, finance, etc. So let's get into what's the definition of business intelligence. Well, it's the method and tools used to report on that business data we just mentioned, sales and finance and HR. And perhaps just as importantly, right, what's the goal of business intelligence? Why is it maybe more important today than ever? And what's in it for companies? What is a good use of business intelligence and a not so good use of business intelligence? Well, let's answer those questions. First, the goal of business intelligence is to get the right information to the right people at the right time, enable the user to make smarter decisions. And I want to emphasize that, enable the user to make smarter decisions. In fact, for HR, people business intelligence, we like to say the goal is, help people make better people decisions. Or more precisely, help make data-driven decisions, which allow you to hire smarter, promote wiser, develop and manage people better. So let me give you a couple examples which illustrate good BI practices which achieve this goal and another not so good practice which really cost a company a whole lot of money and rework. So let me give you the first example. There was a star employee at a company. They were in a key position too. They had always gotten great performance evaluations. They occasionally got some good bumps in compensation. The company thought they were doing everything they needed to do to retain this employee, but they became aware that this employee was a flight risk, that they were likely to leave the company. Fortunately, during the next performance evaluation, the company had improved their business intelligence practice. Well, that provided management with a 360-degree view of data. And yeah, they could still see things like the comp ratio was low, their compensation compared to colleagues or the market. So they could bring that up, right? Like they have in past years. Probably more important was management was able to see information like benefits that they weren't able to see before. And looking at the use of this employee's benefits opened up a conversation apparently with management that about some health issues, and management was able to make some workplace adjustments to accommodate the employee. And to this day, the company credits good use of BI as being able to retain that employee. So again, management and HR were able to do this through good BI practices. And that included the integration of multiple data sources, in this case, compensation, benefits, and time management data. And using that integrated, routinely refreshed data, that enabled an up-to-date 360-degree view of the employee and their comp ratio, their time off, and their benefits. And with that kind of analysis and reporting, management had insight to make a key data-driven decision. So there's no magic here, right? Business intelligence and analytics almost never solve problems themselves. But what they do is they give people insight. The best ones give people insight and allow them to make better data-driven decisions. Now, here's another example where a company, they used a lot of reports and analytics. The problem was their strategy was not maybe the best. What they did was a lot of their reports and analytics were built within the tools that came with each vendor's application. So they had vendor A's application with a bunch of reports and analytics. They had vendor B's application with their reports and analytics, C, and so on. So problem number one was these were highly siloed. They had reports and analytics scattered among several vendors, each reporting and analyzing data only within that particular vendor's application. So no surprise, management often made critical decisions based on partial information. That's in contrast to our first example where management had visibility across benefits, compensation, evaluation, payroll, etc. Problem number two was the vendors embedded built-in tools, BI tools in this case, were limited functionally. They weren't very popular and they were costly to develop because they often had to go and rely on the vendor or another third party to develop those. Problem number three came when upper management decided to change a couple vendors, meaning the analytics and reports built inside those vendors' tools disappeared once they switched to the new vendors. So let me drive that last point home. Can you imagine going into your vice president or whoever approves these budgets and saying, oh, you know the reports and analytics we built 4 or 5 years ago and spent $200,000-$300,000 on, we have to redo those because we've changed vendors and we no longer have those. Doesn't sound like a wise strategy to me. So those are just a couple examples, good BI practices, good impact, not so good practice, bad impact. We're filming this at the end of 2020, and we've also seen some cases where customers have weathered the pandemic better with good BI practices versus those that haven't. For instance, some clients have been able to turn surveys into health checks and their dashboards, their analytic dashboards already display that information, so people are aware of any health risks. We see companies that are able to also do what-if scenarios with analytics that allow them to balance their hiring needs or if they had to furlough or reskill people. Those are a couple other examples where business intelligence can really have a good impact. So you're probably asking, all right, great, I buy all of that. But what's new? Is there anything new here? How do we know we're doing the right practice versus not so right? Well, let's get into that. So you may ask, what's happening in business intelligence today? Well, there's a lot. Most of us realize there's more and more data collected at an ever-increasing rate. You may, in fact, hear people in data engineering or data science that are common maxim: volume, variety, and velocity, the so-called 3 V's. They're describing how much, how different, and how fast data is changing. In fact, according to Microsoft, we're doubling the rate data is produced every 2 years. No matter where you're at, what year you're looking at, whatever came before was much less than where you're at now. And whatever's coming in the future, you can guarantee is going to be a lot more data. In context of HR applications, we have apps that monitor vacation and sick days, how much we earn. They track our progress and goals and career development. And that stuff's been out for a while, but there's an increasing number of things like surveys, reliance on surveys. I even had a survey about a survey once. And there's some businesses that collect number of steps or exact movements of employees during work. There's all kinds of applications gathering more and more data every day. So no wonder data is exploding. So how is the market addressing the data deluge? Well, just in the past few years, cloud-based data warehouses and data lakes and integration platforms, they're shaking things up much like SaaS applications did a decade or more before. In fact, mark my words, if you have an on-premise data warehouse, its days or maybe years are limited. The good news is getting started with data warehouses and data lakes and integration platforms is easier than ever before, and in some cases cheaper than ever before. That will be the core of our discussion in our second video. In our third video, we'll discuss some of the ways newer analytic tools are helping address challenges in modern BI environment. So the goal in adopting these tools is to increase the return on investment for business intelligence. In the next two videos, we'll show how data lakehouses reduce hardware and IT costs, how data integration tools help handle today's convoluted data environment, and visualization tools speed BI lifecycle and its time to value, and how these can create an environment for better decision making and return on investment. All right, thanks again, folks, for watching. I hope you learned something, and we hope to see you in our next videos.